Hi everyone, I'm Shaylin here with Reedsy. Today we're going to be talking about the new adult category. This video might be a little more of a story, so sit back and I'll tell you the tale of the new adult category. It has kind of an interesting rise and fall, so I wanted to talk about this category and what to do if you're trying to publish within this category because it's a very unique case. So novel-length fiction is normally classed into middle grade, young adult, or adult depending on the age of the target audience. However, a few years ago, a new category almost emerged, and that was new adult. New adult was meant to appeal to college-age readers. The age that you would see online was 18 to 30, which I think was a little too generous. I'd say more accurately it'd be like 18 to 24. It was meant for readers who were kind of just out of high school. Now, the idea was to identify a missing gap between young adult and adult, but unfortunately, new adult didn't have the triumphant debut that it was trying to have, and there's a bit of an interesting story here. So the term was first coined in 2009 in relation to a writing contest held by St. Martin's Press. However, the term didn't really start to gain traction until 2012. If you were involved in the writing community or publishing community around 2012, you were probably a witness to this phenomenon. And the idea in theory was good. And for a few years, new adult was kind of the new thing. People started to talk about it, and slowly but surely we started to see a couple books be marketed as new adult. Now, most new adult novels were romance novels set on college campuses, but there were a few prominent young adult authors who were publishing books in the, fantasy genres, and they were being marketed as new adult. The characters were slightly older, 18, 19, 20, and the content was a little more mature. However, the writing style was still basically on par with what you'd expect from YA. Now, one reason there was such a call for this category is because it became clear that a lot of adults read YA. In fact, it's been quoted that up to 55% of YA readers are actually adults. And so people kind of wondered, maybe this is because we're missing a category. Why not create a category that reads similar to YA in style, since this seems to be something that a lot of adults enjoy reading, but we don't have to worry about censoring the content. The content can be as mature as an adult novel. Unfortunately, a few problems arose just as the category was getting off the ground. First, there wasn't clear bookstore space. NA books were still having to be shelved as either adult or YA because very few bookstores had a section specifically designated for new adult. And there was even some outcry over the fact that new adult, quote-unquote new adult books were being shelved as young adult, and the content just wasn't appropriate for a lot of teen readers. At the same time, unfortunately, the category didn't really extend to most genres. There were a handful of books that were, fantasy, new adult, or whatever, but for the most part, they were just romance novels. As this continued, unfortunately, the category didn't gain a good image. It had a lot of potential, but because of the books that were initially published in this category, and because there wasn't a wide range and no one really knew how to shelve these books, a lot of these books were kind of just considered YA but with sex, and so as a result, that's how people started to see the category as a whole. So without a lot of clear definition over what a new adult novel was, or where to shelve a new adult novel in a bookstore, the category kind of died off. There were articles that came out, like this one called The Problem with New Adult, that articulated, unfortunately, the reality of what the category had become, even though it wasn't what the category was necessarily intended to be. People saw new adult as a very narrow type of book because the overwhelming majority of these books were college campus set romance or erotica novels. People kind of just thought that that's what the category was, and it just gave the category a bad name. It wasn't a varied category. It wasn't like YA where it's saying this is for young adults, but outside of that it can be basically anything. Instead, it kind of just labeled a very specific type of book. Now, this is really unfortunate. I think the category had a lot of promise. And I had a bit of a personal experience where I tried to write new adult. So around 2015, the category was gaining traction and it looked like it was going to be something that actually took off. It looked like it was going to be a new category that people could validly write in. And I realized that new adult was the perfect category label for a book that I was planning. I'd been planning a book with a protagonist who was, I think, around 19 or 20, and the storyline really required her to be that age. She couldn't have been in high school. It was really necessary for the plot for this character to have that level of independence. I had a character whose lifestyle wasn't appropriate for young adult, and who kind of was required for plot reasons to have the independence of an adult, but the tone and the style of the book was still basically YA. Unfortunately, new adult just died before my dreams of publishing my new adult contemporary adventure book could come to fruition. Now, I eventually moved on from the project and I'm not really pursuing it anymore, not because of the new adult issue, just because prioritizing my time. But what do you do if you want to publish new adult? Because it's a little unconventional. Now, first of all, if you're an indie author, go ahead. Lots of people are familiar with this term. It unfortunately just doesn't really exist in traditional publishing for the most part. So if you want to self-publish as a new adult author or self-publish a new adult novel, you can totally do that. On the other hand, if you are writing a new adult romance novel, you can traditionally publish this book. At the moment, basically the only place that the new adult category exists within traditional publishing is as romance ebooks. However, self-publishing will probably be more lucrative if you want to publish a romance ebook, just saying. But what if you wanted to, say, traditionally publish a new adult sci-fi novel? Now things will get a little more complicated and get a little weird. The recommendation is to query the novel as adult with YA crossover potential, basically saying this is adult, you can put it on the adult shelf, but it will also appeal to some YA readers. However, I would say that if your book features characters in the younger range of that age bracket, so your characters, say your main character is like 18, 19, 20, and the book doesn't feature any content that would make it inappropriate for YA, I would consider querying it as a YA novel because it might just be closer to being a YA novel. An agent looking to represent adult fiction is going to read it and probably go, this is YA. We are seeing a few more young adult books that are set with slightly older characters who are college age. And my guess is that the reason these books are cropping up is because kind of a delayed reaction to the rise and fall of new adult. So to review, new adult was a category that started gaining traction around 2012 and was meant to fall between young adult and adult and target 18 to 30-year-old readers. Unfortunately, before the category could gain traction, a lot of confusion arose about what this category was, and the category unfortunately got kind of a bad name. Now, if you want to publish new adult, you can do that with no restrictions if you are self-publishing or if you want to publish in the romance genre. However, if you want to traditionally publish in any other genre, you want to query it as being adult with YA crossover potential. Thank you so much for watching. Have you ever written new adult? What was your experience with that? Thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any new videos from us. We've got new writing, editing, and publishing tips every Tuesday and Friday. Until next time.